Documentary Madrid International Film Festival since 2017. She is also the jury chairperson of non-fiction category of the 12th International Documentary and Short Film Festival of Kerala. It is indeed an honor to have you here with us today. I cordially invite you now onto the dais. I would also like to invite Madhavi to lead the in conversation section.
Good afternoon, everyone. You might know her as a jury member because during the inaugural ceremony, Veena ma'am gave a very good introduction to her. It's indeed an honor, ma'am, to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
It's also a pleasure because, in a way, she is the programmer and the director of the Documenta Madrid International Film Festival of Madrid, International Documentary Film Festival of Madrid. She's a pioneer, somewhat like a pioneer in programming, and she has worked in many of the festivals, in documentary festivals as programmer, coordinator, even in the jury as well. So, without much ado, I'd like to start with the questions. You'll also be wanting to ask questions. I'll begin and then hand it over to the audience. Also, on behalf of the festival, I'd like to welcome you to and thank you for having having you with us.
I do want to thank you for having invited me. I'm really honored to be here. I think I have only been, sorry, I'm a bit nervous. Sorry for this. I have only been 3 days here, and I think it's a great festival. I've seen a lot of audience, a lot of people, a lot of filmmakers, and I have a very good impression. And I'm really honored to be here because I'm learning a lot, and I'm watching a lot of Indian documentaries.
So my first question is, you began your career in the film field in the early 90s.
Yes.
In sound department, in cinematography, and various other fields. And you have been associated with more with documentary filmmaking since then. So what led you to choose the form instead of, over fiction?
Okay, that's true that I started to make shootings. I studied cinema, I studied cinematography, and in the beginning, about 10 years, I was a camera assistant, focus puller, and that thing. And I learned a lot because when you shoot, you learn a lot about cinema, about making movies. But finally, it wasn't my best option. I didn't was very happy with that. And I started to work on film festivals. I didn't choose specifically a documentary, but it was like a little bit by chance. And because also I am very related with documentary filmmakers. And with the time, I've got specialized because one documentary film festival, another one. Even if I have worked in a film festival that was not specialized in documentary, I was in the documentary section. So finally, I get involved during the days, the years, and I'm really fan of documentaries. I really love them, and I have to say I prefer documentary than fiction.
Okay. You were someone who has faced the brunt of displacement in your childhood, actually. You were born in Cuba, I guess? And
No, it's a little bit complicated.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I was born in Madrid, but my parents are from Chile. They came from Chile to Madrid. I was born there. And afterwards, due to political things and for their work, we finally went to Cuba. And I stayed in Cuba. So I grew up for 20 years, from my 5 years old to 25 in Cuba. I made my studies there, and after I finished my studies, I went to Spain back. So it's supposed I'm Chilean, but I haven't been there for a long time. Okay. I lived a short, maybe 3-4 years there when I was adult already, after studies too. But it's in a sense you cannot say. I mean, I cannot say I am from one place. I have the three countries, and I don't feel to be from only one place.
How do you look at it now? Because people say that even in your biographies online, they say you are of Chilean background, you were born in Cuba, then and born in Madrid, and then raised in Cuba, all those kind of things. How has it affected you as a person and as a filmmaker?
Okay. For a long time, when I was young, it was difficult for me. It was a problem because I always said I have no roots. I don't know where I'm from. But finally, with the time, I found that this really advantage because if you are not from a specific place. You are always foreign, so you can be wherever you want, and and I feel fine. I don't feel this is related with filmmaking. I mean, maybe I haven't made the connection because I'm not a director. I am not a filmmaker as a director. I have been in filmmaking and works, but not as a director. So I haven't done a film about this or whatever. My sister has, and she, of course, speaks about this in her film. But I think it's an advantage finally because you are a world citizen, and that's all.
Okay. Now, I'd like to ask that your father, Andrea Guzman, was the founder director of the Santiago International Film Festival.
Yes.
You have also worked as the coordinator and programmer there.
Yes, a little bit. It was just when I think it was by chance when I was living in Chile these 3-4 years. I went after studying. He was there. I mean, he doesn't live there since a long time, since 50 years, more than 50 years. But he was trying to found this documentary film festival. There was no film festival at this city, and it was the first one. And I worked a little bit with them, but not very. I mean, in the beginning I was like a producer or assistant or whatever. And I started to work on this festival when I left Chile because I sent films. Because I went to Spain, I have been programming Spanish films there or European films, and until maybe 2 years ago, I still had the connection to send films. But I have to say that unfortunately, this festival has finished this year. I mean, I don't like to say it like this, but probably it has finished because this last year they didn't got the fund which they made it. It's a government funding for festivals, and they didn't get it. So I'm not sure if the festival will keep going, and it's really a shame because it has more than 20 years, and with this festival has been encouraged to filmmakers, documentary filmmakers, to make the films. They have created an association after the festival was founded. They joined through an association. They have made a lot of things around the festival, and it's a pity if it dies, but I think nobody in Chile is taking care about this. I am not sure. I don't want to be, maybe someone is doing and I don't know. But because my father doesn't live in Chile for a long time, he's in France, he cannot do anything about it. And I'm not sure if it's going on.
Do you think it's because of the political situation there that in Chile, I mean,
probably
you were not you have not lived there, but just in case I'm asking if it's because of the political situation there.
Probably, yes. I'm really not very related to them, but it's a probability because this 2 years ago the government changed. They have a very right-wing government now, and maybe it's one of the reasons at least that they didn't give the money to the festival.
Next, maybe we can take a question from the audience and then I can
Of course.
Someone is having a question.
എൻ്റെ പേര് സഹദേവൻ, തിരുവനന്തപുരം. കൊമേഴ്സ്യൽ സിനിമ പ്രദർശിപ്പിക്കാൻ തിയേറ്ററുകളുള്ളപ്പോൾ അതുപോലെ ഡോക്യുമെൻ്ററി സിനിമകൾക്ക് പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് തിയേറ്ററുകളില്ല എന്നാണ് അറിയാൻ കഴിയുന്നത്. അതിനുവേണ്ടി സംവിധാനം രൂപീകരിക്കുന്നതിനുള്ള മാർഗം എന്താണ് താങ്കളുടെ മുന്നിലുള്ളത്?
Commercial films and fiction films, they get more theaters for screening, and documentary films have very less theaters available. So any remedies that you could suggest for getting more theaters, kind of like a distribution system?
You have said is real true. Not only here, I think it's maybe all over the world, and it's a pity because it doesn't happen. I mean, in Spain the situation is like this. It's not that less theater shows documentary. None theater at all shows documentary. But no, I mean not commercial ones. There are some specific cinemas which has more artistic programs, and they show documentary films. But I think maybe because it's a reality, and one of the causes is because maybe they think there is no enough audience for them. So I think what are we doing in Spain very slowly and very small way with an association, we are trying to educate the audience to let them know that the documentaries are also films, it's also cinema, and to show them and to bring the schools and to bring students or the university students or whomever, young people, so they can grow up knowing that documentary is also films, they are also cinema. And maybe we will start getting this more known, and they will come to watch documentaries, and finally distributors who are in charge of making this possible, that films go to the cinema, maybe they will get them to distribute. But I think there are some countries in Europe, United States, that they have it in the screenings, and they are more used to that. But in the other countries that we don't, because Spain is like here, or Latin America too, I think we have to start educating the audience, and it will be a work for years, but I think we have to do it, because I don't think there is another solution.
Similar to one of my questions as well, because distribution system, what kind of a distribution system do you have in Spain? Because in India, documentaries, it's the same here.
We don't have it. I mean, another thing, it could be great to have some grants from the government, or the state, or wherever, to support documentary distribution. But for the moment, we don't have. It could be great to have it. And as I said before, with an association, we try to make this little by little, and asking also to the institutions, governmental institutions, to make these grants or fundings or whatever to support. But I don't think this is enough, because if you get the money, for example, if you get a prize in a festival, and maybe this money, because there are some festivals who gives some prizes for distributors. So maybe you can get that. I mean, only one in all the festival will get it, but anyway. And if you make it to go to the screenings, to the cinemas, and you don't have the audience, it doesn't make any sense. So yes, you have the money to make the prints, to show it in the festivals, to travel maybe around, but if you don't have the audience, it won't work because it doesn't make any sense if the people are not there. So I think it's a big work. It's a big work, and we have to make it. You know, we the filmmakers are the ones who are interested on it, and the ones who knows that documentary films are really good, are great, and are also cinema. It's not like a, you know, sometimes they said this is a film and this is a documentary, and this is what we have to change. We have documentaries are also films. It's fiction film and documentary films. So if you start to work like that and to make the people to think to know that this is also cinema, we can start to make it possible.
You founded the DOCMA, Documentary Filmmakers Association, in 2007. What situation led you to making such an association, establishing such an institution?
Yes, that's the association I have told you before. This is, I mean, it was after I was living in this short time in Chile, and they found this association of documentaries, and I went to Spain, and I saw there were no association of filmmakers. Even maybe probably there wasn't fiction association, but it's different. The reason for this one is that mostly of the documentary filmmakers, they work alone. They use, I mean, at least it happens in Spain, in Chile, and the places I know.
Here as well.
It's a very lonely work, a job, you know, because they make the camera, make the sound, they shoot the whole thing. Afterwards, they go to edit by themselves, usually, not always, but usually. And then they have to send it to festivals, and it's a very lonely work. So when these kind of filmmakers can join another, they know that they are not alone, and there are a lot of filmmakers like them that have the same problems or the same curiosity or the same questions. It's very good for us to join, because we can share things, we can share information or wherever, and that's why I mean, I wasn't alone when I was founded. We were a very small group, 5 or 6 persons, but we were thinking about that, and we were also wishing to have a documentary film festival in Madrid, because there wasn't. This was, when we were planning this was before Documenta Madrid was born, as the way. So, and we also had dreamed about a cinema only for documentaries. So these subjects made us to join. It was a slow process, because finally we found it in 2007, but it was maybe from 2003 we were talking about that. Then in 2004, Documenta Madrid appeared. I mean, I didn't know, but somebody made it, and I went there to ask for a job. I was working for them, for this team, for not 7 whole years, 7 editions, because you don't work the whole year in the festival. And I have learned a lot and make a lot of contacts. So at the same time, we found this association, and now we have been we have grown a lot. We are a group of 270 around filmmakers, and this is really working now. But after 10 years of work, you know, at the beginning, what we said, it's funny because we were talking about this last night. What we have done at the beginning to join people is to organize seminars, film seminars. So we brought some famous filmmakers that everybody wants to know, everybody wants to hear, and we make seminars of 1 week seminar of each, I mean, not very often, but maybe twice a year or something. And then the group would grow, and more people will join, and finally this activities have been growing. Now we have a film festival, a small one. We have it in September, now again in Madrid. Always bringing foreign film directors or filmmakers who can teach us something, who can show their films, of course. But also, we also make always meetings, encounters. You talk to each other. We have conversations from Spanish and non-Spanish filmmakers. And finally, this group is really working now. We have a Google group, and always is working. And they have questions. I need an editor, so who can recommend me someone? And always you have an answer. More than one, that is great, because you don't need only one advanced recommendation. And now it's really working as a very network, a very good network.
Okay. Maybe a question from the audience. Can I move to my next question then? Okay. Yeah, you've been, as you said, you've been watching a lot of documentaries, Indian documentaries now, a considerable amount, I guess. What do you think, how do you evaluate the genre, Indian version of the genre? From you must have watched a lot of documentaries, you've been curating, so how do you compare the other...
Oh, it's difficult, this question for me, because yes, I am now watching the Indian documentaries, but I used to have a lot of documentaries, of course, for the festival. As a director, I have only been for 3 years in Documenta Madrid. So now my position is a lot of privilege, because I have a very good group of programmers. We are 8 in total. There are 6 programmers and we are 2 directors of the festival. So we are 8 persons watching films. But I said this is privilege because they are watching the whole thing, and I only see the best documentaries, They make a filter for me, because we don't have time to watch the whole thing. Of course, even each one of them don't see the whole. We make a partition, and we see maybe 200 or 300 each one, but not the whole. We receive 1,800 documentaries a year, more or less, maybe a little bit less last year. So it's difficult because I haven't been in the beginning of the selection to compare exactly the quality or it's difficult. Each country has different quality, different subject issues, and because I'm on the jury, maybe I shouldn't talk about
the
Indian documentaries now.
anything.
Yeah, but I'm very happy because I've learned a lot of things, because they're different, they have different issues, different qualities also, not quality the word, but styles.
Okay, documentaries in general have emerged as a great weapon of protest or revolution, you can say. Do you think that this form is preferred over fiction to express dissent? If so, why?
I don't think so. No, that's why I always defend that documentary is a film, as fiction is a film too. I think you can have a good message even in documentary or in fiction, and even I could say that if you want to get a message to the audience, fiction probably works better because they have commercial distribution and more people watch the films. And also because I really like documentaries in an art way, in an artistic way. I am really not very fan of this kind of struggle films, very militant or very, I just said the word maybe,
protest, revolution,
Yes,
political.
political protest, because I don't think this connect very much with the audience. I don't mean that you don't have to take to talk about these issues and about these all these items. Of course, you have to, and it's really important to do it. But I think if you do as an artistic way, as a creative way, you will be more connected with the audience, not like the reportage, the TV reportage that you have the TV for that.
Yes.
So they can do that very fast thing, interviews, whatever, and they make news. So that's